there's not a big cast. There's not a huge story here. It's just really these two people and the downfall of a brilliant scientist who fucked up, and now he is a victim of his own fucking science. It's beautiful. Alright, y'all, happy Turkey Day. So to help celebrate Turkey Day, got a special throwback review for you today. I'm being joined once again by my man Anthony A. Perez. Make sure you follow my man. I'm going to leave the link in the description. Subscribe to him. He talks about movies like myself. And we have this series going on called Tit for Tat, where we pick movies out for each other that we normally would not watch. So he's more into the Disney joints. I'm more into the soul cinema joints. But today we're doing something different. I'm throwing a little bit of body horror his way. And we're going to get to his thoughts in a second. So today we're going to be talking about the 1986 classic, Jeff Goldblum, Gina Davis, directed by the OG of body horror himself, David Cronenberg, The Fly. Now, this comes from an era, a time where remakes surpassed the originals in the 80s, all right? You got Scarface, which is a remake. Everybody knows Al Pacino's Scarface. Not many know about the Howard Hawks one. All right, you got The Fly, which was based off of a 1950-something movie with Vincent Price. Not many people know about that one, but everybody knows about The Fly. The Thing, also a remake. And what's another one? Little Shop of Horrors. Everybody knows Little Shop of Horrors with Rick Moranis. Not many know about the one from back in the day. So this was a time where remakes surpassed the OGs. Okay, now these are considered OGs. Okay, I think that they wanted to remake The Fly a few times. They did make a sequel, The Fly 2, which I should review, because I think that's a very underrated movie. Doesn't get as much love as the first one, understandably so, because the first one was just so fucking classic. But there were many things to enjoy about The Fly 2. But here we go, The Fly, Jeff Goldblum. No matter what I see him in, no matter what it is, after all these years, whether it be Jurassic Park, Thor Ragnarok, whatever, whenever I see Jeff Goldblum and them bug eyes, I think about him biting the fingernail and peeling the fingernail off. I think about him squeezing the finger and the pus coming out. I think about the ear falling off, you know. I'm not a huge body horror fan because I will never watch the Human Centipede movies. I don't even give a damn if it's tit for tat. Nope, we omit that one. No Human Centipede. I'm not going to watch a movie about people shitting in each other's mouths. But The Fly was interesting because even though it's a very grotesque film, but it is a very entertaining film. It's a smart film. It's a very straightforward and to the point science fiction movie. And I've said this before, a lot of science fiction movies, just a lot of movies period now, just try to give too much context and they should give you too much backstory, too much, it makes things overcomplicated. This is a simple story about a scientist who creates this machine that can teleport. Okay, he's afraid of traveling. By the way, his name is Seth Brundle, that's a character. He is afraid of flying, he's afraid of travel, so for him, he wants to create a way where I can travel where I don't have to be up in the air, teleportation. Nobody knows about this except for Gina Davis, who is a reporter. And he says, okay, I'm going to share something with you that's going to change the world. And this is like for your eyes only. So he becomes a study piece for her where she studies him. She lives with him. And in the midst of this, they fall madly in love. And they hump like a bunch of rabbits. Okay. And he gets jealous of her ex-boyfriend, because the ex-boyfriend's trying to hit back up on her again. You know how guys are. We're super jealous, and especially when we're drinking, our emotions go all over the place. He gets jealous, and he jumps to the teleport machine without her to prove to her, hey, I showed you, you know, I'm doing this without you, and you missed it, not knowing that there was a fucking fly in the teleport with him, and him and the fly merge together, and then he slowly transforms. He slowly, back then, the AIDS epidemic really hit. Okay, so a lot of people compared The Fly to somebody with AIDS, where it just slowly just deteriorates them, and that's what happened to him. He went through different phases, where first he was in the weak phase, where he was all weak and all decrepit, and then he went from that to now I can crawl on the walls like Spider-Man, and then from that he just became something that's not even human, teeth falling out and everything. And he fucked around and got the girl pregnant, got Gina Davis pregnant. Now she's pregnant with this fly baby. Or is it? We don't know. You have to watch part 2 to find out. So first of all, I gotta say Jeff Goldblum and Gina Davis work very well together here. You know, why do I feel like I'm fucking my words up tonight? Gina Davis and Jeff Goldblum work very well together. And of course, because they ended up becoming a couple in real life, they was together for a few years. I think they even did a movie together, called Earth Girls Are Easy after The Fly. So yeah, they work well together, and not a very big cast. It's Jeff Goldblum, Gina Davis, the ex-boyfriend, and a couple of other like extras and stuff, and that's it. You know what I'm saying? There's not a big cast. There's not a huge story here. It's just really these two people and the downfall of a brilliant scientist who fucked up, and now he is a victim of his own fucking science. It's beautiful. Okay, I ramble on about the plot enough. As you can tell, I really dig this movie, man. And before I get into the rest of my thoughts on this, I'm gonna give the floor to Anthony A. Perez real quick, man. Tell the people, what did you think about The Fly?
What's going on, Rashad and all his viewers? Thank you so much, my friend, for having me here in another video, this time around to talk about The Fly. I was supposed to get this for you before Halloween 2021, and I definitely failed you. I'm sorry about that, my friend. But here we are talking about The Fly. A big thanks once again for having me here in another video. And yeah, 1986's The Fly, a remake of the original from the 50s that I definitely want to go back and revisit after revisiting this one. I got to watch it with my fiance, her very first time, and it had been quite a few years since I had seen it. And I'm very happy to say that this movie still holds up so much. And man, the 80s. The 80s were just truly an amazing time for movies in general, but for horror. I almost wish that I had grown up in that time, being able to be a teenager in that time. But yeah, to be able to go back and revisit this movie after all those years of having not... But yeah, being able to go back and revisit this film after so many years of not having seen it, I can easily say I hadn't seen it in well over 10 years. Yeah, it's still a phenomenal film. Jeff Goldblum is so good in the movie. You have Gina Davis as well. And overall, the cast is really strong, and the tone, the feel, the vibe. It's a good, fun, funny film. It does have some dialogue from time to time that does not hold up, some performance moments that maybe are a little dated feeling. There's definitely dated elements about the film that will make you laugh. But man, when this movie shines, it really shines. And that's honestly the majority of the runtime. It's also directed by David Cronenberg, who is, obviously known for some, interesting films. But I would say that this is one of my favorites of his, if not my favorite of his. And yeah, overall, I find this to be just a really great film. What it does really well is that it plays as a drama, then a romance, and then kind of blends into this horror element as time goes on. There's a Beauty and the Beast element to it. There's a Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde kind of vibe to it. There's a Frankenstein kind of vibe to it. And it's just a really great monster film. And one of the biggest highlights about this film that everybody talks about are the practical effects. The practical effects and horror makeup visual effects that they did in this film are top notch. They still work to this day. They still look incredible. They still look like literally better than a lot of things that come out in films today. Overall, this is a really solid horror film that still holds up. I'm excited to rewatch it again some point in the future, in the near future. It just kind of has been in my mind again. The technical craft that was put into making this film is just so present on screen, and I love that element about this movie. And a big thanks to Rashad for having me on. Definitely probably going to do a video over on my channel at some point too, to maybe get a more deep dive conversation about it. But yeah, this is a great movie, a great Jeff Goldblum movie, a great horror film, a great 80s horror film, and a great film to really showcase what can be done with prosthetics and makeup in horror that should be done a lot more these days. I really wish there was more movies doing stuff like this, but I guess that's what kind of gives the 80s a special feel and vibe. Films like this, An American Werewolf in London, the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise, there's just so many great movies and franchises in that time frame that just had phenomenal practical effects that sometimes would save the movie if the movie was terrible. But in this case, The Fly is a great time, and I really thoroughly enjoyed it. So thank you again for having me on, Rashad. I'll give the floor back to you, my friend, and I can't wait to hear the rest of your thoughts.
Yeah, man, gotta love the 80s, bro. Gotta love the 80s. Unfortunately, though, I did not get to see this right away. This dropped to 86. This came out around the same time as Aliens, so I can remember my father actually renting this on pay-per-view. That's back then when you would order pay-per-view on movies through pay-per-view or whatever. And I remember him ordering The Fly, and I remember him ordering Aliens, and I could not watch either of them. And I was so mad. Matter of fact, I did walk in when my father was watching Aliens, where the queen got sucked into space, where Ripley was holding on, and they ripped the shoe off and she went into space, whatever. I remember walking in on that part. I'm like, this is cool. My pop said, boy, get your ass out of here. And I believe I did walk in on one part of The Fly where he was crawling on the wall like Spider-Man. And I'm like, what kind of... My father said, boy, if you don't get your ass up out of here. And like Perez said, the effects still hold up to this day. Still hold up. Even with all this technology, all this CGI and stuff, I wouldn't even want to see this film remade because I know they cannot capture the organic essence of what this movie was. Like, you know, there's something about a practical effect where it just makes it look organic and real. And to the eye, it just like, you know, I'm not trying to get too deep here, but, you know, the eye can spot what's real and what's not. You know what I'm saying? And don't get me wrong, CG has come a long way where the effects still look good. But something about those practical effects where if they did The Fly now, I guarantee it will not have the same impact as that original one because you really felt like this man was falling apart, you know, from the fingernail, the ear, the teeth. Not only do you see the transformation physically, but you see the transformation psychologically because as he's transforming physically, you see the changes. Like he goes from this humble, kind of socially awkward doctor to now he's like this sex machine. And he goes from being this sex machine to this very aggressive, like brute. You know, remember when they were arm wrestling? He took my man's arm and broke the fucking arm. You see the bone pop out and shit. And then, one of my favorite parts of the movie, I remember watching this with my father. One of my favorite parts is when Gina Davis tells him that, hey, you're sick, you know, you need help. And he was like, sick? Does this look like a sick man to you? Went to punching the fucking pillar. Bow! Bow! Know any sick men that can do that? Come here. Even at the end where he finally came through, like you could see the skin and shit falling off of him, and he just became the fucking creature. And at the same time, heartbreaking and sad because, you know, this is a spoiler review here, so I'm spoiling the shit out of this. But yeah, the end where he dies, right? He gets his head blown off. Very sad. Like, the musical score was really effective in this movie. I think the musical score really amped the movie up a lot. And when he did finally become a full creature, you forget that that's Seth Brundle until he merges with the actual teleport machine. He's sitting there crawling, you know, just crawling with no legs or nothing, you know what I'm saying? And he takes a shotgun, points it to his head, tells her to blow his head off. And for a moment, he's Seth Brundle again. You're like, oh no, like Seth Brundle is still in there. And she has to make that decision to blow his head off, man. That's the end of The Fly. Wait for part 2. All right, y'all. So I've rambled on about this movie enough. I'm going to let y'all get back to your turkey, your drinks, your football. I just wanted to give my 2 cents on The Fly and gross you out real quick. Hopefully I didn't turn any of your stomachs from enjoying your nice Thanksgiving meal. But wrapping it up, y'all, The Fly, the remake, gets an A fucking plus. A plus 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 plus. One of the illest sci-fi films of all time. One of my favorite movies ever. And I don't like a lot of gross stuff, but this is like the one gross movie that I'll make an exception for. And by the way, I showed this to my daughter one time when I made chicken parmesan. And to this day, she won't eat chicken parm ever again. And that was like, what, 9 years ago when I did that? Still won't eat chicken parm because we actually watched that movie while eating. Never said I was Father of the Year. Anyways, Perez, thank you for joining me once again in the video, man. I really appreciate your 2 cents on this and looking forward to reviewing it on your own channel. And once again, subscribe to my man, Anthony A. Perez. The link is in the description. And that's it. And that's all. What did you think about The Fly? Comment freely below. Let me know what you thought about it. And, damn, I feel like I'm forgetting something. Anyways, this is Rashad G signing out. See you in the next video.